Hey everyone, and welcome back to XPinionated. I'm Mike, and I'm with my bro Isaac, and we're here to discuss what's going on in the gaming industry. More specifically, we're discussing Mind's Eye and the current drama surrounding that game, and it's currently not a pretty sight for this game. Now, this was supposed to basically be a very GTA like experience, especially considering it's a game that's being headlined by a studio that's being led by Leslie Benzie, which is one of the former CEOs of Rockstar North. And there was some hype writing on this game, considering that a lot of people are dying for a new GTA games, especially considering GTA 6 is still very far away. But ever since the game launched, the game has been plagued with a number of problems, bugs, issues. Basically, it launched in the same state that Cyberpunk 2077 launched. It was a complete and total mess. And at the moment, like even I'm looking at the Steam page right now, it's mixed, but I believe beforehand it was very negative. Not right now, it's mixed. But yeah, a lot of people are not liking the state of this game to the point where on the PS5 side of things, they even issued like refunds for the game. It's really that bad. Now, other than that, I don't know too much about what's going on with the game, but I believe my bro here has some details.
Yeah, so one of the bigger issues about you pretty much said everything that I was going to go through. Unfortunately, it's just getting really bad in terms of even optimization. Even some of the best graphic cards at the moment can't really like the RTX 5090 has said that the game's struggling to even keep up with even basic graphic input demands. The game has just been poorly optimized, and on top of pretty much all of that, it's even getting to a worse situation where even streamers, um, unfortunately, are not even allowed to stream. That's how bad one of the games are. And I forgot one of the streamers' names, but I think before even having the opportunity to be able to stream the game, he honestly got contacted. Now, the company wasn't revealed, but clearly, the company, aka Rocket Boy, which is run by IO, uh, produced under IO,
Yeah, yeah. IO Interactive.
Interactive, basically kind of send a not kind of put a halt to certain streams. So on top of that, that's on top of the bad PR, that's also coming off the fact that Lizzie Bensley was interviewed a couple of days back, citing that the game getting all the bad press was due to paid bots trying to sabotage the game's release, which IO Interactive had to come out and say that's not the case at the moment. So yeah, in a situation like this, in terms of a game, it, it's a little bit of a tough situation right now because, like you said, they wanted to make this into a G one of hopefully a game that holds you off the GTA. But was cited between bad, just glitch errors and stuff like that. It's just hasn't been good. Honestly, from what I've watched, the game design wise doesn't look terribly that bad. I personally saw it watching some of the streamers, but yeah, well, just looking at the game, it just seemed like there were a lot of drawn out missions that continue to go on. The gameplay in terms of the gun, the mechanics, the gunplay didn't seem that interactive or that interested. And from what I've watched, it seemed like a lot of people were drawn by too many storylines storylines that were not interested, or you really couldn't play through the main story. It was too short and it kind of brought you through cutscenes, which almost took players out of the game watching it.
I mean, it does seem like modern game design in terms of like just like story, a little bit of gameplay, story, and it's just not the experience that a lot of people want out of like a video game. And I don't know why companies keep doing this, but it just doesn't sound fun in my opinion. Like, listen, like it's at that point. Like, if you want to tell a story at this point, just make a movie.
Well,
Like,
games have become movies right now, and I'm not against the storytelling, but there has to be a better balance between that to be able to tell story in gaming right now, because that's kind of just where the evolution has head into gaming. I'm not against the storytelling, but if the game's just poorly optimized, or it's just simply not that fun with glitches, and even watching some of the games, because I think that what the game's kind of based in the futuristic Las Vegas, driving through it, it just seems like it's very empty. Like it just seemed like the game was just not finished. It
yeah,
clearly was not ready to launch based on
and
everything that you're
then
watching at the moment.
considering the fact that now they're basically asking people to like not stream the game, pretty much sounds like they want to unrelease what they did, which honestly doesn't. It's not a good look for the company,
No
especially considering like what this is their first like
major,
retail release.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's a horrible look for the company. This is your first game and this is what you put out. It just goes to show you that like a lot of the again, is this could this be considered a triple A company or is it double A?
I think it's a double A. I mean, IO Interactive is pretty well known, but in terms of this company that
The
started what
developer.
Rocket, well, this is a very brand new company. I think you can honestly, well, it's really hard to say because I think they had AAA aspirations with a game like Mind's Eye. If you could see, based on how the production and how they wanted to go, and if you think about the reputation that Leslie's had working 12 years under a
Rockstar
Rockstar
North.
and to Take Two, yeah, you would think that you would have at least better confidence that he would be able to take hopefully some of that GTA formula, some of that zest from working under the company. Now, there's some situations where he had with Rockstar unceremoniously that kind of got got him kicked out. But you think with his expertise, you feel very comfortable that since the knowledge that he's learned from making those games would hopefully be able to translate. And I think that's a very interesting thing. Not just because you've worked under a company for such a long time doesn't necessarily make that success under them doesn't seem to translate when you try to make your own version of the game.
It never
It,
does.
it's kind of
It never does.
like for sports people out there, it's kind of like, yeah, for like the Patriots back in the day under Bill Belichick. There's been so many people that have worked under Bill Belichick that tried to do the Bill Belichick style. It never works out at the end. It just seems to only work out for the person that has worked in New England with the Patriots back at that time. And I think that's that situation that you're starting to see right now with this game at the moment. It hasn't translated the way that he's wanted it.
Well, yeah. Well, like I said, like whenever you hear like news of a developer or CEO or basically just anyone starting a new game or new game company saying, "Oh, it's former developers of Blizzard, it's former developers of Riot Games, it's former developers of Activision that worked on Call of Duty." And you hear those announcements, it gives you the idea, oh, the game they're working on is going to be on the same quality of the games that they previously worked on. And 9 times out of 10, it never happens because usually it's just, again, people who quote unquote worked at the company. Could just be like the janitor or Bill who got the coffee for the other guys in the office. Basically, it doesn't mean anything because like the true like people who made the companies, these games the way they are, that push these games to the success that they truly obtained, it's usually never them. Though it's usually never those kinds of people, and it just really just lures you into a false sense of security that this product is going to be really good, but ultimately it's just you should just treat it with like these kind of announcements with a grain of salt.
I kind of disagree with that too because I understand what you said out of 9 out of 10 former developers that have worked under these big AAA companies. Some of them work out not the way that you want, and then sometimes you get a big hit gem like Expedition 33, which what former people from Ubisoft that were able to set their own path and had to learn everything from scratch too, like had to learn how to do everything from scratch and was able to build like a banger of a game that kind of surprised everybody, especially what was a turn-based, almost a turn-based fluid style RPG game that's really known for more for the Eastern style, like Asian style games that normally succeed under that form. So, but like you said, So it's a very interesting situation where we have because, like I said, one end you have the Expedition 33, which is basically a brand new company, correct? Like that just kind of opened their first game. This is their first game. I
Yes.
believe so, right?
Yes.
So, uh, you have that wonderful situation. Uh, sorry about that. So yeah, you have that on one end where you could argue and say they really didn't have the knowledge to be able from the games that they were making under Ubisoft, they went a completely different direction and succeeded pretty well. As for, Lisa Glenzie, who has that same kind of experience and set out to hopefully make a game that is very like a sandbox open game and has kind of missed the boat in
Well,
such situations.
well,
So
here,
it's like one of the two. It's kind of almost that gamble pretty much at the end.
the thing about that logic is that, the reasoning is that, like, when it comes to Sandfall games and people that made clear obscure Expedition 33, is that we didn't even know that these were former Ubisoft devs until after the fact that the game came out. And then the interviews started rolling in, and then they decided to speak up about their past
Okay.
experiences. And
Mhm.
another thing is that the company that made that game didn't use their past experience as a marketing tool to try to sell the game. I'm talking about when I have issues when these new developer formed groups try to use their former experience as a selling tool, like saying
And
like
is that a
that's what.
bad thing? I don't think
Well,
it's a necessarily a bad thing to do it because that's how you have to try to get yourself in the door. It's not like it's a negative thing at the
it's
end of the
not a
day.
bad thing, but usually it's when these new groups do this, it's usually not the true heads, the true like thinking caps that made the company what it is. Like the people who have the true veteran experience. It's usually just people that probably work for the company for a few years or whatnot, and now they think that just because they work for them that they're now veterans themselves. I'm not saying that every new formed company is like this. Yes, again you do get like some like truly experienced like companies going off on their own and making their own thing, but other times it's not. So that's why I say like whenever I see that kind of like tag, I basically take it with a grain of salt.
Would you think Expedition 33 would have not succeeded, or it would have mattered if they had honestly say, I was one of the original developers under UBC? Or does it honestly matter? Does it matter the fact that Expedition 33 was an actual developer versus the fact that Lizzie Lazy was more of like a CEO, big top head that led the game and then decided to make it? Is that more of a difference at the end?
No, I just think it pushes it sets your expectations for how good the game is going to be. That's what I feel. That's why I think it's important not to tell people that you work for this company until after the game has come out and you let the game speak for
I don't think
itself.
that matters either way because even if you okay, what if Expedition failed? Then clearly wouldn't matter because they probably wouldn't even admit that, or
Yeah.
someone would have digged up and found out there were former Ubisoft employees, hence the reason why the game failed. So I don't understand that being more of I don't really hold that against a person for stating their former experience because like you said, Rockstar was a very good game. We all enjoyed a game like GTA. So you would expect from people to at least take some of that experience to move forward, that you at least you could say that. Again, going back to the Bill Belichick annihilation, that seems to never translate. And I think that's kind of this thing because, but I do agree with you at some point. Just because you've been in there doesn't mean you were the head honcho or you're the honestly designer of that game. So like any ideas that you think you're taking doesn't translate, and I think that makes sense looking at how
Bad.
much of the reviews have come out has kind of demonstrate that he doesn't really have maybe none of the creative or the technical background. Maybe as a business head, he kind of knows how to promote himself, but in terms to make a game that is kind of GTA like, doesn't seem to translate.
Yeah. I'm not trying to suggest that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it sets your expectations. That's all. And
And
I'm just
I
saying
get that. I get that.
and I'm just saying it's better off to not reveal these things and just let the game speak for itself. And then clearly that worked for like Expedition 33. it's not working for MindsEye.
Yeah, clearly at the point. No, well said. Definitely well said.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, that's basically all we have to say about the situation with MindsEye. Like, what do you think about the game right now? Did you try it? Do you think it's an okay game? Do you think it's gonna be decent after it gets patched up, or do you think this game is dead in the water? Please let us know in the comments below. But other than that, if you like what we do, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mike with my bro Isaac, and we are saying peace.
Take care.